Imagine waking up tomorrow and nobody on Earth wore clothes. No shirts, no shoes, no jackets, no uniforms, no fashion, no pockets, no brands, nothing. It would feel completely unnatural. But here's the strange part. For almost 300,000 years, humans lived exactly like that. For most of our existence, nobody wore jeans, dresses, or even simple shirts. So, what changed? Why did humans become the only animal that intentionally covers its body? Was it because we were cold, ashamed, trying to look attractive? Or did clothing begin for a reason almost nobody talks about? The answer begins long before civilization, long before farming, back when every human on Earth lived as a hunter-gatherer. Compared to almost every other mammal, humans are strange. Chimpanzees have thick hair, bears have fur, wolves have coats that change with the seasons. Even elephants have sparse protective hair. Humans have almost none. Scientists believe our ancestors slowly lost most of their body hair between 1 and 2 million years ago. Why would evolution do something so dangerous? The answer is surprisingly simple: running. Humans became endurance hunters. Instead of sprinting after animals, they chased them for hours. While most mammals cool themselves by panting, humans evolved millions of sweat glands. Sweating works incredibly well, but only if heat can escape the skin. Thick fur traps heat. Less hair meant better cooling. Better cooling meant longer hunts. Longer hunts meant more food. Ironically, losing fur helped humans survive. Without fur, we became vulnerable to the environment. Freezing nights, wind, snow, rain. Eventually, humans needed replacement. Here's something surprising. Humans lost most of their fur long before they invented clothing, possibly hundreds of thousands of years earlier. So, how do scientists know when clothing appeared? After all, animal skins rarely survive for tens of thousands of years. The answer comes from something tiny: lice. There are two different kinds of human lice: head lice and clothing lice. Clothing lice can only survive inside clothing. Genetic studies suggest clothing lice split from head lice roughly 170,000 years ago, which means humans were probably wearing clothes by then. Not because archaeologists found shirts, but because parasites left behind a genetic clock. Sometimes, the smallest creatures tell the biggest stories. Forget cotton, forget leather jackets, forget designer fashion. The first clothing was probably made from animal hides, leaves, grass, tree bark, animal fur, simple belts, maybe even woven plant fibers. Nothing was sewn like modern clothing. Stone tools scraped hides clean. The skin was stretched, dried, softened, then wrapped around the body. Only later did humans invent bone needles. Some discovered in Siberia are over 40,000 years old. Needles changed everything. Suddenly, humans could stitch fitted clothing. That meant surviving in places colder than ever before. Without sewing, much of Europe during the Ice Age would have been impossible to inhabit. Early humans didn't stay in Africa forever. They migrated into deserts, mountains, rainforests, frozen tundras. Some eventually reached northern Europe, where winter temperatures dropped far below freezing. Without clothing, they would have died within hours. Clothing became portable shelter, a second skin. Instead of adapting biologically to every climate, humans adapted culturally. That's one reason humans spread farther than almost any large land mammal. Polar regions, tropical jungles, high mountains, cold islands, one species, thousands of climates. One invention made that possible: clothing. Eventually, people stopped wearing clothes only to survive. They started wearing them to communicate. Different tribes decorated animal skins. They added feathers, shells, beads, pigments, jewelry. Suddenly, clothing became language. You could recognize someone's family, status, occupation, age, or achievements without saying a single word. The body became a canvas. Long before written language, people were already telling stories through what they wore. Many people assume fashion began with cities. It didn't. Archaeologists have discovered shell beads over 100,000 years old. Some traveled dozens of miles from the nearest coastline. People invested enormous effort into decoration, not because they needed it to survive, but because appearance mattered. Humans cared deeply about social belonging. Looking similar strengthens identity. Looking different attracts attention. Clothing became both protection and self-expression. Here's a fascinating twist. Humans weren't born feeling embarrassed about nudity. Babies certainly aren't.
Shame is largely learned. Different cultures throughout history viewed clothing completely differently. Some wore very little, others covered almost everything. What feels normal depends largely on culture. Your brain learns the rules around you, then treats those rules as obvious. Clothing isn't only biology, it's psychology. Today, your clothes protect you from cold, rain, sunlight, but they also tell strangers who you are, your profession, your hobbies, your personality, sometimes even your beliefs. What began as a simple animal hide wrapped around someone's shoulders eventually became uniforms, wedding dresses, business suits, sports jerseys, military armor, designer fashion, and billion-dollar industries. Humans didn't invent clothing because we were ashamed. We invented it because evolution changed our bodies, climate challenged our survival, and culture transformed necessity into identity. Every morning, when you choose what to wear, you're participating in a tradition that began roughly 170,000 years ago. Not just putting on clothes, but continuing one of the oldest human stories ever told. If you enjoy watching the content, subscribing to the channel is the best way to support the work and never miss future updates.